Hello, my name is Noel Ullom, and for my Strnad project, I wrote a collection of poetry that explores my LGBTQ plus identity. And the title of my book is called God Resting on Our Basement Floor, which is also one of my favorite lines from my poetry. To begin my project, I first wanted to focus on reconnecting to my creativity and finding inspiration both inwardly and outwardly. My first approach to this was picking up a book titled The Artist's Way, which specifically encouraged that I write 3 pages every day in the morning, first thing, just to let out my thoughts. And that was definitely my favorite exercise in that book. I also got to attend 2 weeks of writing workshops at Kenyon College and attend the Young Artists and Writers Festival at HB, both of which allowed me to hone in more on my own personal style, but explore and adopt some aspects of my fellow writers' styles, which is crucial for a writer's development. I also got published for the first time, specifically in the Cathartic Literary Magazine, actually twice, both poems of which are also in my personal collection that I'm going to share with you today. And I began to conduct my interviews with LGBTQ plus individuals, and these individuals spanned from my peers at school to teachers that live in Korea, and each individual offered their own perspective that was incredibly unique to them, both answering questions about what their development as an LGBTQ plus individual was like for them personally, but also how it related to the community as a whole. My craft of language and relationship to obstacles also evolved over time. My relationship to writing also specifically ebbed and flowed with the reception of awards and publication, and it really encouraged me to recenter my reason for why I write and focus on the sincerity of my voice rather than focusing on its reception with audiences. I also began to incorporate my interviews and notably incorporate them through the 3 sections that I divided my poetry into, including Gods Without Hands, Gates Without Handles, and Girls Without Heroes, while also incorporating quotes in those pages. And I also explored the self-publication process, eventually landing on a site titled Lulu for its accessibility for new users. And just to share some of my poetry, I know it's hard to read these 2 pieces on the screen, but I really wanted to show the differences in physical style on the page. So as you can see, some of my poetry range from more free-flowing form to more constricted verse. And I also wanted to demonstrate that poetry about queer identity does not only specifically have to focus on queer sexuality in itself, but also in concepts such as growing up and family and femininity, all of which these poems explore. And so I'm just going to read a bit of my poetry. So this is part of a poem titled In Case You Haven't Witnessed This. We once caught God resting on our basement floor, overheard the breathing, pulsing, beating heart that mocked our mortality from another room. Listen, I whispered to my brother sitting there, a God who has fallen will never stay more than his heaven is willing to share. So he stayed and stood across the doorway to watch a man, lying in his casket of walls and dust closing in. We realized he is truly a fatherless man, a father, a son, a spirit without one to claim. A light lit and kindled, bending to the spark it cannot see and calling it holy. In case you haven't witnessed this was heaven. In fact, we decided on it when I was 8 and he 6, that it hid in the whispering room in the corner of our silent basement. We decided on it when I reached it, grasped nothing, that the cushioned walls and pipes had become a ceremonious entry, eternity. And just to read another poem that relates to the similar theme of family, this one is titled Yesterday Blossoming. Hydrangeas share a history of tracing my family name. My grandmother, the keeper of breathing colors, introduced me once to permanence, oranges and pinks weaving tightly around her fingertips. Her buds mistake green for canvases and paint ecosystems upon their stems, reds blushing for the nearby man and inheritance ruby rings, purples grieving retiring skies and chipping walls left far behind. Blue ridges line yellow centers of tempting nectar or buried stars. She carved constellations with wooden wands and arranged bouquets with fallen scars. Hercules, Ares, Hydra, Orion, she plucked men among the stems, snipped and tossed the yellow suns from aging petal rims. Look here, she called. See what trimming can save? Hydrangeas share a history of saving my family name. I really want to thank the Strnad family, Ms. McMillan, my mentor, Ms. Oceani, and family and friends for all their support. So yeah, thank you so much.